It is okay to say, Mama, I'm sorry. I never meant to hurt you. I never meant to.
Is that a Boys to Men quote?
No, no, this is an Eminem quote.
So it was a surprise that it came from Rigiji. It was a surprise that it came from Kameme. Kameme, how he's associated with the former president and the first families, the former first family. And so it was a kind of a surprise, but like we have said before, nothing happens by accident in Kenyan politics. And so I want to think that was planned. I want to think that maybe even Uhuru Kenyatta and Mama Ngina Kenyatta were in the know of what is happening. It's said that they are going to share a podium today. Gachagua, Rigiji, and former President Uhuru Kenyatta in Nyandarua, I think, or somewhere in Oloitoktok. I think they are going to share a podium. There's some funeral there. And so I think that was premeditated. It was just a way of, as we meet, I should have said something. And so because the bitterness between the Mount Kenya current politicians and the former first family has been palpable. And so I think Rigiju just tried to cool down the tempers so that when they meet, there's no that animosity that has been there between them.
First, I want to agree with Obuya that this must have been thought before.
Like a preamble.
Yeah, preamble.
Yes.
Reason being, the platforms that they used to convey the message. I'm imagining someone sat somewhere and said, we need, if we have to have a conversation someday in future, these guys must apologize. And we do not want them to just apologize. This is where we want them to do this from. They have to go and apologize. You know, by hitting on the platforms in the campaigns and in the electioneering period, they damaged a bit of what those platforms were enjoying. And for Mount Kenya to even, those that had doubts in the platforms and in the former first family, to believe that this is real, this is where you have to go and do it from. I think that was a compromise. Rigiji did it. But in the very, very interview, I must say, you see, the apology has to be looked at in a political way. In the very, very interview, we know when Mau Mau and the parcels of lands come into question. And we've seen what the Kenya Kwanza administration have been saying about the Mau Mau and the parcels of lands that were taken before, where they have been attributing these atrocities to. When you give an apology here, and then later in the conversation you say, but we also know, we're asking that those parcels of land that were taken since 1963, we ask that they give a bit of those parcels of land to Watoto Mau Mau. You know, anyone listening would know that, again, you know, it is like giving an apology with this hand and taking it back with this other hand.
You would be naive to ignore the space of Uhuru Kenyatta and the first family, the former first family in the mountain politics. And so if you want to be a kingpin, and then you must make sure that even if you're not friends, then you're not enemies with the former first family, because they are very powerful. They have a very powerful family. They control the economies, the huge economy of the mountain, and not just the mountain, the whole country. And so if you aspire to be the kingpin of the mountain, or if you aspire then to be the head of the state, you must make sure that you make peace with the former first family.
Baba has taken most of the oxygen from his podiums.
Yes. But you see, this is a lifeline. He's beginning a new conversation. You will soon forget about Baba and the AU, and we'll focus on this one.
So most Mount Kenya politicians are running out of topics to speak about, because you know Baba was a huge topic for them. Every time you hit on Baba, you are scoring political bonga points. Every time you hit on Baba,
soundbite.
You are scoring political bonga points, and so. I think they had hit on Uhuru Kenyatta a good one, and the family a good one, and some people in the mountain were saying, "Guy, this is a person. This is a person. Have you ever heard we had those questions. Did you ever hear people, politicians in the rift hitting that hard on on former President Moi or his family? So those questions were asked, and I think if it's a strategy is a right strategy for Rigiji, such that he wants to mellow those people who have believed to be the followers of Uhuru Kenyatta. There are people who still believe in Uhuru Kenyatta's leadership, and so he wants to mellow them and just to appear like he's a leader for all, not just the Kenya Kwanza adherents, but also those people who still believe in the Jubilee manifesto and mantra.
Have you ever apologized to someone and then you asked, why are you apologizing? What are you apologizing for? In this apology, I read more of what they said than what they did. We have what they said, and we have what they did.
Rudishe kondoo kwanza.
Kuna kondoo? Unaona? Kurudisha zote. Kuna kondoo? Kuna wale walienda kufanya mchezo kwa gate ya Mama Ngina, and then kuna ile, I remember the night of the raid kwa kijana ya former president.
Yes.
So we have what they did and we have what they said. So we should be asking Rigiji and those that have orchestrated this, what are they apologizing for? If they can do that, come out and say, we're apologizing for having done this and this and this, so that it is not a blanket. We assume they have apologized for everything. Na kumbe wanajua wao kwa katika roho zao, they know we cannot apologize for this. Let us do this apology, but for this one we are not apologizing. We want to know what is it that they are apologizing
Alafu
for.
Tungoje Ichungwa apologize, Didi Nyoro apologize, na Kuria mwenye alisema anataka kwenda kufanya maneno mengine.
In fact, Ishungwa still calls the platforms that were used. He calls them by a funny name.
Yes.
I would want to see.
That's a lot of apologies.
Alafu the bad thing was that walikuwa natukana mtu mwenye who is not answering. Have you ever insulted somebody who is not answering you? Una insult lakini baada yako tu amenyamaza tu. Hata kama akujibu in public. You are uttering making utterances in public. Yeye amenyamaza tu. And so kama Mama Ngina, I thought it was way beyond that was not politics. That was personal to involve Mama Ngina in all those politics. Uhuru was a politician. You could hit on Uhuru. That was okay. To hit on his son, to go and raid his son, that was way out of, that was in politics. That becomes personal now, and that's why you saw even Uhuru coming out and trying to, saying this, enough is enough. I've been quiet, but you can't go beyond this.
Yeah, you've crossed the line.
An apology has to be accepted,
Yeah.
So
Obuya, your uncle is in a supremacy war. What's going on? Weta versus Natembe.
a very serious movement is coming up. You see, Tawe has become a movement. Jeff, do you know what Tawe means? Tawe means no.
Oh.
Yes.
Saying no to something.
Wetangula.
Tawe.
Tawe.
It is becoming a movement.
Are you serious?
And Papa Roma is in trouble.
Papa Roma.
The Pope, I think he didn't see this coming.
No.
He didn't see this coming. And the Pope has been the kingpin of Bukusu politics, Bungoma and Trans Nzoia, largely dominated by Bukusu. So he has been the kingpin. And there are people who still believe in his ideology until now.
Yes.
But for the first time, he's been challenged and seriously challenged. What we saw happening in that funeral is what we used to see Wetangula's people doing to his opponents.
The kind of combos of the
combos
times.
and Walukes of,
Yes.
they have been having those fights, and he has always been coming out on top. But for the first time, and he's the third in command.
Number three
in
yes.
command. And for him to have been sandwiched that much and almost forced out, and that is actually his backyard, that constituency where they were.
It is the one and only constituency he can call home in Trans Nzoia County, because it's a Ford Kenya constituency. But that is what happened to him in his own
backyard.
So
Nikubaya.
I don't know if Natembeya will sustain it. But as it is, he's leading 2-1.
Eugene Omalwa, the party leader, Dapke, said something on his Twitter handle just after that incident in Trans Nzoia. Said the biggest mistake Papa Oroma did is not relinquishing his position as the party leader of Ford Kenya, because otherwise he would not be at the center of such brawls that are really demeaning him for someone of the stature of a speaker, you know. Mudavadi cannot find himself in such a position because he was too clever to let people take charge of ANC. You know? Wetangula would have been wise enough to relinquish the party position first, because then no one would get him into this local politics. You know, it is actually localized. You know, and they have localized him. So if he still listens to people who advise him on that line of relinquish this thing first, that is what he would do. And then he should, I think, you know, Trans Nzoia is a county on its own. Bungoma is a county on its own. This is a governor for this county. But because you have not gotten over the fact that Ford Kenya did not make it in the previous election, and it has been, since the advent of devolution, it has enjoyed having to produce the governor in that county, and this time round you did not get the governor. You still insist that you have, as in trying to prove a point that you know, this is my region and I have to do this. The Wamalwas are domiciled in Trans Nzoia. He's the party leader, DPK, the party that sponsored Natembeya. People have some love for the Wamalwas. Natembeya is the governor. People will definitely love him. Whatever he says in Trans Nzoia, you can't compare with what Wetangula will come and say in Trans Nzoia.
I think they have some personal thing going on, but for the fact that Wetangula is also trying to crop up Nahumicha to be the next governor, I think Natembeya is not looking at that lightly. He's not taking that lightly, and even in that chaos that was there over the weekend, Nahumicha was there, and we saw her, you know, with the he's saying Nico anamonea wivu because he's dealing with the cartels. Sema hata striking because of the cartels that are sponsoring the strike.
Right.
And it just shows the mentality that the people we have mandated to leaders have. And Wetangula is very ambitious. I think he's thinking of 2032 is really trying to plan ahead. And for him to be fighting local wars, it's demeaning his stature as a national leader. I think he should move out of that Bukusu mindset as a leader of the Bukusu people. He needs to expand his territory. If he is as ambitious as I think he is, he should, you know, juzi alikuwa Busia huko kwetu, huko karibu na Buhalalire, a place called Buhuma. I think he should do that more. He should, you know, because just, you know, cornering yourself in Trans Nzoia and Bungoma County is not going to help you. It's your stature grow nationally.
Buhuma, Buhalalire.
Say,
You might
say
easily bite your
Buhalalire.
tongue.
Buhalalire.
Buhala. Sasa if you say it in Kiluya, you say Buhalalire.
Buhalalire.